and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. I am finally back. So in almost 5 years of making videos on this channel, this has been the longest time away from videos I've ever taken, and I'll talk about some of the crazy changes that have been going on in my life and the future of this channel and the entire VR industry at the end of this video. But for now, we've got a lot to catch up on. The month of dry VR news is finally over, which is part of the reason why I'm back. Meta finally grows some real legs with the newest V57, some new VR games are actually looking pretty good, and after some very recent leaks, we basically know everything there is to know about Meta's newest VR headset that's only about a month away. So we're gonna round up everything we know about it, I'll share my predictions, as well as just talk about a bit of a worry that I have with the Quest 3. We got all that and so much more, let's just get right into the news. Okay, so let's just start with something absolutely wild. If you ever find yourself sad and lonely in the metaverse, well, you may just be able to power your augmented reality setup with your tears. Let me explain. So augmented reality and eventually virtual reality in the form factor of a contact lens is actually way further along tech-wise than most people think. I mean, Mojo Vision had a near complete prototype ready with wireless communication, eye tracking, micro LED displays, and even an onboard processor on the contact lens about a year ago before they changed plans and pivoted to focus entirely on display technology. But even though they've stopped development, the idea is not dead. Researchers out of Nanyang Technological University have picked up the research where it left off, but this time with some pretty amazing breakthroughs. One of the biggest struggles for AR contact lenses has always been the battery, which makes total sense. Modern battery technology and eyeballs don't exactly pair very well. You can just imagine the PR disaster a Galaxy S7 situation would be if instead of causing a fire, a malfunction just made you blind. Yeah, so this breakthrough is a pretty big deal. Using zero wires or metal electrodes, this new battery type can store electricity when in contact with the saline solution, which of course is basically just a tear, with each crying session adding a total of 4 hours onto the battery life. And I can just imagine a future where in order to charge your AR contacts, you throw on the intro to up for a quick charge or something. In more immediate news, Meta just took a massive step, literally, with them finally adding legs to Quest with V57, the newest update coming soon to everyone. There are just a few caveats though. As of now, there's no crouching IK, so your avatar is standing most of the time and you can't actually see your legs except for in a mirror. You can see other people's and they can see yours, but if you look down, you're just floating around, which is interesting. Also in this update is an airplane/travel mode that recalibrates the headset to be used while moving in a vehicle, which can sometimes mess with headset tracking. Direct touch also seems to be coming out of experimental mode, which is great. And I feel like all these updates are really in preparation for the huge event that's coming this year, which is Connect. The event where Meta's new flagship headset, the Quest 3, is going to be properly released, likely with a shipping date within just a week or so. The latest leak says October 10th, but I guess we'll see for that. But I find this release pretty interesting because we know just about every detail of the Quest 3 already. Whether that was through data mines or totally unintentional leaks, or the headset just straight up popping up in someone's hands a couple days ago, which did happen actually. And so before we get into some predictions and thoughts about the headset, since it's probably going to be a pretty big deal, I wanted to run through basically everything you needed to know about the Quest 3. Get you all caught up before the event. The Quest 3 has about a 30% higher resolution than the Quest 2 at 2064 by 2208 per eye at up to 120 Hz refresh rate, and these will still be LCD panels, so no OLED or micro OLED just yet. The pass-through will be massively improved, not just with higher resolution color cameras, but also with the addition of a depth sensor. And this one thing is a bigger deal than it seems. This sensor enables a bunch of new things, including the new Smart Guardian as seen in these leaks. Now when you make your Guardian, you just scan the environment by looking around you. And this would also include things in your environment like couches or desks, both to warn you if you're in a VR game, but more importantly, allow for far better mixed reality applications. You can see in the leak a virtual pet jumping on and then over a couch, which is only the tip of the iceberg of what's possible because of this sensor and the better pass-through. And as more apps take take advantage of it over time, mixed reality will become a huge part of the Quest 3. Also confirmed is a continuous IPD adjustment, focal distance adjustment, and a nice little dock, which is just great in general. But I think in everyday VR usage, while pass-through and a higher resolution and a much superior Guardian system is awesome, there's really three huge things that make the Quest 3 a noticeable upgrade. These are the big ones. While the Quest 2 uses Fresnel lenses, the Quest 3 uses pancake lenses. And while that resolution increase is awesome, it's not going to be a massive jump. What's going to make the biggest difference for clarity and immersion is going to be the lenses. Better edge-to-edge clarity, less distortion, likely a noticeably higher field of view. It's just a better viewing experience all around if it's anywhere close to the Quest Pro's lenses. The second thing is the weight and size. Recent leaked photos of the Quest 3 show just how much smaller it is, and I don't think I really need to emphasize how much comfort matters for VR, but yeah, going from a brick on the face to a slab on the face is a big deal. And the last really huge thing is the new processor. Going from a Snapdragon XR2 Gen 1 to an XR2 Gen 2, lauding around a 50% performance increase. Now, I don't think this is something we'll really see getting taken advantage of super early on. It's like getting any console on release. We'll probably have a few really pretty titles that'll push the Quest 3's hardware, but almost all games are also going to be built for the Quest 2 as well, so it's not like standalone VR is overnight going to get leaps better graphically. It's a bit of a longer process. The big difference immediately is going to be how much better everything else that already exists runs. Now you'll be able to enjoy VR chat at 15 FPS instead of, 9. Joking, of course. But actually, the resolution not being that much higher is kind of a good thing here, because all existing games should run significantly better with 100% backwards compatibility, which is where that 120Hz display really comes in. And of course, there are some other pretty big improvements like Wi-Fi 6E, the new controllers have better haptics and no tracking ring, the new multimodal hand tracking / controller mode looks awesome, but hardware-wise, that's kind of everything. And all that being said, I gotta say, I think the Quest 3 is in a bit of a weird situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be a really fantastic VR headset. I mean, it's superior to the Quest 2 in almost every conceivable way, and if you have half a grand laying around, yeah, the price shot up just a little bit from the Quest 2. It's seeming like the perfect upgrade for almost any existing VR headset user, and probably the best entry point for people that are new to VR that there's ever been. It's a Quest 2, but just quite a bit better. But I really think that how well the Quest 3 does this Christmas and next is going to be entirely up to what sort of games are announced at Connect, the event that's coming up, and how many of the existing games in the catalog are going to actually utilize the Quest 3's power. This is the one thing that we really don't know besides a few titles. The big ones that come to mind are Assassin's Creed Nexus, Underdogs, Asgard's Wrath 2, and Behemoth. Those are all looking amazing, but even with those titles, we don't know how the Quest 3 is going to be used for those games. And I could really see the Quest 3 launch going a few ways. It's either going to just be seen as a slightly better, more expensive Quest 2 that doesn't do much more because, well, if there aren't any games and apps that do utilize the Quest 3, then it kind of is just a more expensive, slightly better Quest 2. Think of the Quest Pro's launch scenario, just a little less exaggerated. But on the other hand, if the launch catalog is impressive enough, I think the $500 price tag may play in its favor, and Meta may have a really hard time keeping Quest 3s on the shelves. And I think right now, just new games and new hardware is a much needed revitalization to the whole VR landscape. And you guys all know how much I love new hardware, but this time, I've got to be real, it's entirely up to the software. And I think beyond anything, that's what I'm most excited about from this Connect, is just seeing what sort of new apps, games, and software and how it's going to be used. It's really all up to that. Either way, you guys all know I'll be reviewing it the second I can get my hands on one. Not sure if I'll get a review in it for launch day or if it'll be later, we'll see. Okay, but now I get to answer the biggest news of the week, at least for my side of things. Where the heck have I been for the past month? And I want to take a moment to just kind of open up and talk about the future of this channel, what's going on in my life, and kind of where VR is at right now. So I realized since the day I started this channel almost 5 years ago that I haven't really taken much time away from making YouTube videos. And to be honest, I haven't really wanted to. Making videos about AR and VR especially is something I love. And every single day I have this weird mix of lucky, but also sometimes complete disbelief that I get to make videos about something so cool for a job and then share it with a community that loves the same thing I do. It's crazy. But there's also this thing inside of me that feels like I don't even come close to deserving all of you guys watching these videos, but that's also a huge factor that drives me. I always just want to make the best stuff I can to pay all of you guys back, if that makes sense. And if I had it my way, I wouldn't have taken a break this past month. I've got way too many videos I'm excited about. But I didn't really have a choice this time around. I'm in the middle of a huge move right now, and all my stuff besides a couple headsets and my PC are basically in storage. Working on videos has just been kind of impossible. It's bad planning on my part. So I'm sorry there hasn't been the same volume of uploads recently, and I know YouTube will probably slap my channel for taking the break for the month. That's also a huge fear I think every content creator goes through. But I think in the long run, for mental and physical health, this has been a month that I didn't know I needed. But there's also another thing that I haven't really talked about at all, and it's because I really don't want to overpromise or show off something that's not ready. But I think if you guys know what's going on, you'll probably get the break a bit more too. For the past almost year, I've been working really hard on a VR game. It's my own solo development project, and I'm pouring everything I have into it. It's on my mind 24/7. It's always been my dream to build immersive worlds for people to explore, and I think that's why I'm driven to VR so much as well. So I'm just going after it. But it has been a bit of a struggle balancing videos, massive life changes, and, development. So I'm thinking maybe I'll start making videos of my progress every now and then. Start a new sort of devlog series if that's interesting to you guys. And so that brings us to today. I'm actually in Japan right now, in between my old place and the new place, for a couple of reasons. One is I'm here for a few videos, inspiration, and I'm also here for some specific work on my game project. But I'm also working with a Japanese VR game developer, My Dearest, as a VR expertise producer on one of their new titles, both helping out mainly playtesting, but also learning as much as I can about VR game development as a whole. And it's been such an honor so far. I just can't wait for you guys to try their game out. But now we can talk about VR for a moment. Gonna be totally honest, VR is in a weird spot right now, and it feels like a lot of people are almost scared to say that. And for the past couple months, if it weren't for VR chat, the occasional Pop 1 game, and obsessively spending time in Unity working on my game, I don't know how much I would actually be using VR. It's felt quite dry, especially if you've been in it for a long time. And the disappointments keep stacking, whether hardware or software or games getting shut down. I mean, Echo last month, Medal of Honor just announced its servers are getting shut down. A new article pops up every few days about PSVR 2's collecting dust and VR being dead. It can be quite depressing, especially when VR was going to the moon just a couple years ago. And as much as I want to be positive all the time about everything, that's not me. That's not real, and that's not honest. But on the other side, balancing constructive commentary without feeling like I'm just complaining is a tightrope that gets old too. And so this little break has been really positive in that aspect. It's allowed me to kind of take a few steps back and just enjoy VR for what it is and be excited about its future, whatever that is. Because it is a bright future no matter what. It's easy to get caught up in the minutia or industry. And what makes VR amazing goes beyond any company or trend or hype graph. And I think the most exciting idea to me, and what keeps me going for this channel and what will keep me going forever, and what keeps my positivity high for VR, is the thought, or I guess belief, that while we may not have the VR that we imagine, I guess, for quite a few years, it might be 5 years or 10, maybe 50, or maybe not even in our lifetimes, I know that no matter what, I'm gonna be putting everything I have into making sure that 5 or 10 or 50 years actually happens at all, because I truly believe that VR is something really special. And it's exciting that we're here in the early days where things are so unknown, and it's just a matter of taking it to the right place, and I think more importantly, for the right reasons. And so thank you for listening to all of that. I don't think I've really opened up like that in a YouTube video, but after taking a break, I felt like it was necessary. And also thank you for everything so far. I'm gonna try my hardest, and if you want updates on the new studio or various things in my life, I'll be updating on Discord or on Twitter, or I guess X. They're both good places. But yeah, I guess let me know what you guys think about this and the Quest 3 and the state of VR as well. All I can say is it feels really good to be back. But until next time, much love, Thrill out.